Hey folks, and welcome to part 2 of my trio of videos for the top 5 decks of the current format. Today we are going to be talking about Rogue. Now, I have been getting a few comments lately from my past videos on how I would classify Rogue. Rogue is basically the tier that's just under the meta. Like, you have your top 5 meta decks of the format. What I consider the top 5 Rogue would be the 5 underneath that, so 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So basically it's the list right below the top decks. Do I think that really justifies it? Who knows, but that's my definition of it at least. But let's just go ahead and jump to number 5. This one is going to be more broad because I'm going to put water decks here. With Rage of the Abyss booster set that just came out this weekend, it got new support for mermaids, Atlanteans, sharks, water decks across the board. So I could put mermaid Atlanteans, or I could put sharks here, or the Xyz Armor Kaiser shark combination deck. But I'm putting water here more specifically because no specific water deck has surfaced, pun, has surfaced in the meta yet and claimed its seat as the water deck. Back in the day, it was Mermaid Atlanteans, but Sharks recently got a boost and are now kind of, tied with it. So until one kind of, makes itself known, I'm just putting water decks straight across the board here. So I would highly recommend this to, anyone who likes the theme of water decks or who were Mermaid Atlantean players back in the day, because the new support is actually pretty crazy. A lot of it can be good interruptions, not so much Omni-Negates across the board like the Fiendsmith and Asmania decks are, but good old-fashioned kind of back and forth. The only caveat that I do not like about water decks is that they do have the ability to snipe cards out of your opening hand first turn. That is very annoying. If not, it's probably even more annoying than Omni-Negates. But that doesn't happen very often. And it definitely doesn't happen in the Shark decks, which is probably my favorite of the more favorite of the two. Sorry, Jarek, it's true. I know you love the deck. I know it's your favorite, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, water decks definitely deserve number 5, at least for right now. Now at number 4, I'm putting Sprite here. More specifically with the Sprite, Runic, Melfi, for hire. Basically, the engine itself of Sprite, where you can utilize it in any of those other decks. Sure, the deck is relatively, balanced now, at least with the power creep of other decks, but the deck can still play relatively well, and I have seen it pop up here and there a few times. Not really much else to say about this deck. I mean, we all know it. Some of us love it, some of us hate it, some of us don't really care either way, but if you like the deck, it's still relatively good now, and I highly recommend that you keep going with it. Now, number 3, I'm putting this right in the middle because as of now, we have no data on this, but it has the potential to be very dangerous. That is Six Sams. You guys may have remembered my video a couple months ago where I reacted to the reveal of the new support. Sure, I kind of went a little overboard saying that it was insanely broken, which I still stick by. The deck is still relatively broken, but in terms of representation, it hasn't gotten there yet. We just need to give it a little bit more time, because the biggest weakness of this deck is that it needs the right pilot for it. If it has the right pilot, this deck can top to the top of the meta list very easily. But at the same time, if it doesn't, it can only do mid-rogue at best. It would only be going downhill from there. So if you like Six Sams, back in the day, this is your time to shine. Use the deck to its fullest. Use those loops. Some decks even came out with a loop with Trishula to hand rip from your opponent. Again, you guys know how I feel about hand ripping. It's completely unfair, but it's there. And as a lot of people would say, a win is a win. So if you are a good pilot with Six Sams, or if you just love the deck, pick up the cards now because the new support is very cheap. The only real expensive one is the new Xian card, and it's only $2 right now. The most expensive cards are going to be some of the older ones, but even then, some of them are going to be between $5 and upwards of $20. So kind of go with your gut on this one. I'm putting it at mid-rogue for that reason, because we just don't know yet, but it does have the potential to be something very dangerous. And number 2, this is actually one of my favorite in the recent decade. It's Chira. Oh, I know why he had to get hit, but I still miss Chira Rise Heart. It hurts my soul, but I understand why. I just want to get that out of the way. With that being said, the deck is still resilient as a rank 7 spam engine. This is actually the deck that I'm thinking of taking to the YCS that's happening in December in Anaheim, California. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be very exciting. But it's going to be between this and another deck, but that's for another video entirely. But yeah, I play tested this deck quite a few times in the last few weeks online, and it's still really good. Sure, there are some matchups like Runics or Mimigools where it just can't meet the gas of those decks. But in terms of some of the top meta decks, it actually puts up a fairly decent fight if you have the right build, the right techs, and you know exactly how the other decks play. If you can do that, you're going to be good across the board. And number 1 for Rogue deck, I'm putting the Millennium deck here. With the release of the new Blue Eyes Millennium card support, this deck just jumped several tiers. That card is absolutely broken. And that combined with Silhouette Rabbit with the continuous trap cards, along with the boss monster, the Exodia fusion monster that does a spell and trap negate, plus a back row that blows up your opponent's entire board, that is absolutely wild. But the deck is so resilient too, and it has the ability to utilize board breakers like Tempeh. But by far the biggest up that this deck has is not a lot of people understand fully how the deck is utilized. Because I think back when it was first released, this deck only had one top. And that was it. Not a lot of people understand fully how this deck works. They don't know how to really hit the right spots. And they don't understand that if you get multiple Exodias out, its negation, I believe, is not a hard once per turn. So if you do that, then you are pretty much golden. You just have to worry about monster effects, which this deck can handle relatively easy too with the right setup. But like I was saying with the new Blue Eyes card, it adds just another layer of interruptions. And this deck is something that you need to be prepared for. Do your research on it and be prepared to know how to face against it. Excuse me. And more importantly, if you want to utilize the deck, take advantage of it, because I guarantee you not a lot of people will either see it coming or understand how the deck truly functions. But guys, that is it for the top 5 Rogue decks of this current format. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for the last video, which is going to be uploaded tomorrow, for the top 5 budget decks, which is my personal favorite, as you guys know. But until then, please like, subscribe, hit the bell down below for notifications, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.